just try to get into it, what is exactly, how would you define depression? Because there seems to be a lot of debate and a lot of different perspectives of, especially if people haven't experienced it, not trying to invalidate anyone's emotions or anything. But some people are like, oh, it's just because you're sad. But I've seen other people debate that it really isn't sadness. It's like with someone like myself, and even like in a situation like this, I don't want to say I had depression or I was depressed, but it's so difficult nowadays because it's like I don't know what, like I literally do not know what other word to use,
Sure.
other than like during that time, we'll just say it's a very numb feeling for the most part. Sometimes it does get to the point to where it is super bad, and you do have suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. But I guess how do we actually define something like depression
Mhm.
in today's time?
Sure. So it's actually, in some ways, it's an easy question for a psychologist to answer. And in some ways, it's also really hard because the
Mhm,
way we define it in our diagnostic manual doesn't necessarily capture the full picture for everyone.
mhm,
So in some ways, I feel like I can rattle off talking about it. In other ways, it's like, you know what, there's still a lot that we don't know. Again, psychology is a newer science, and we change our definitions of things all
mhm,
the time. But my initial answer would be there's a lot of different experiences when it comes to depression. Sometimes it is the sadness that you're experiencing, and it has to be consistent. It's not like feeling
mhm,
sad like occasionally or just feeling like sad after a breakup or sad when it's appropriate. It's sad for at a very high intensity, or not just that, I'll say more about that.
mhm.
Whatever the experience is, it's lasting for a long time and it's intense. And it also is getting in the way of your functioning. So if you're feeling sad and it's not getting in the way of your functioning or how you're carrying yourself or feeling about yourself, that might just be regular sadness. I wouldn't say that, don't take my word as like a diagnostic thing necessarily, because
Right.
there's a lot of other factors. But you feel sad all the time. We're humans, we do. And so what makes it different is like whether it's, so depression can look like sadness, it can look like irritability, especially in teenagers. It can look
Mhm,
like just straight up irritability. It can look like numbness, just as you said, or even an emptiness. The emptiness and numbness can sometimes be tied to other diagnoses too, but like those kind of things, or people use the word malaise a lot.
mhm.
But it's not just the emotion piece. It's also, it can look like withdrawing from your activities, like not doing things that usually bring you joy, or when you do them, not feeling that joy like you used to do. It can
Right.
also look like changes in sleep, changes in appetite. There's like these physical reactions when you're depressed, because depression also comes with different chemical imbalances in your brain. And so it actually affects your biology too and your physiologic makeup. And so you are going to have disrupted sleep likely, whether that's sleeping too long, falling, like having issues falling asleep or staying asleep. There could be changes in appetite, whether it's too much or too little. There can be the suicidal thoughts, as you named, which that's a very broad term that can look like as small
Right.
as, I wish I wouldn't wake up in the morning, or I wish that I would get hit by a car, to having a full on plan. Sorry, my cats are now roaming around. This is
It's
the
fine.
place I'm working too. But like can look like a withdrawal, or it can look like just not caring as much about things. It's like, oh shoot, yeah, now she's crying. I had them before this so that this wouldn't happen, but it
It's
only
all
helps
good.
so much.
Mhm,
But depression can look really different, and I often have parents say, my kid says they're depressed, but I just don't see it because they are also like smart. Oh God. But they're smiling, they have fun, they still see their friends, but they don't see the other stuff. They don't see when they're like laying in bed for hours not doing anything, or they don't see that, yeah, they're still playing basketball, but their heart's not in it anymore. Um,
Right.
it's
Mhm.
those kinds of things that are unseen.